Learning today about the things that one needs to pay attention when you blow the shofar. When blowing the shofar, there's few halachot that one needs to pay attention to because it can make the shofar blowing valid or invalid, which means there are requirements in the way a person, for instance, in the Shulchan Aruch, breathe during the tkiyat shofar. When you do the middle tkiyot, what we call truah, and those tkiyot really of truah combine to either what we do truah 2 2 2 2 2 2 2 or shvarim 2 2 2 with a little bit longer sounds. Those needs to be done with one breath, which means you can't breathe in the middle. It has to be done all at once. Not allowed to take a breath in the middle. That's not allowed. It would make it invalid. Also the same thing by the truah. It has to be all at once without stopping. What about between shvarim and truah? When you do tashrat, tkiyah, shvarim, truah, tkiyah. You have in the middle shvarim, truah. What shvarim, truah? Like we explained before. In between, two. Now, can you breathe? Take a break and continue, or it has to be done with one breath, all together. Two, right away. Go from one to the other without breathing. That is a machloket, whether it is or it's not. It's a safek in the halacha. Shulchan Aruch brings down that it's davar that's talui in a machloket, and therefore he says that one should do. You know that the tkiyot are divided into two parts: tkiyot de miyoshev and tkiyot de me'omed. Tkiyot de miyoshev are the first tkiyot that after the Baal Tokea says the beracha, lishmoa kol shofar, and then when everybody's sitting down, he does the tkiyot. In those tkiyot, you should do them all at once, without stopping in the middle. And the tkiyot de me'omed afterwards should be done with stopping in the middle, making a break of one breathing in the middle. And this is how the Shulchan Aruch brings down. The Rama over there says that the minhag is to breathe in between the shvarim and the truah, even in the first tkiyot. You make shvarim, you breathe, and then you make the truah. You breathe in the middle. That's the Rama says, whether it is standing or sitting. Shar HaTziyun, that's the Mishnah Berurah, says that the minhag of the Shulchan Aruch, the psak of the Shulchan Aruch is more correct, because with that you yotze according to all opinions. You yotze because you do both opinions. While you're sitting down, you do one way, and while you're standing afterwards in Musaf, where the tkiyot de me'omed are being done, you are doing it in a different way, and therefore you yotze according to all opinion. This is also how the later poskim bring down halacha lemaaseh. So there's still some keilot that do like the Rama, the whole tkiyot de meyoshev and me'omed with breathing in the middle, but the Shulchan Aruch opinion, according to many Ashkenazi poskim, is more correct. Definitely according to Shulchan Aruch, one needs to pay attention, otherwise it could be me'akev. It's not a good kiyah. So one needs to pay attention. It's more important for the Baal Tokea to know that, and also people need to listen. How does he do it? Does he do it the correct way, or does he take a break in the middle, breathing? It needs to be done again in the first kiyot at one. Then take a break. The second kiyot, the me'omed. Right? Also, as we explained, while you're doing the shvarim, for instance, that's no good. All at once. Okay? So that needs to be, a person needs to pay attention to those It's things that are done without paying much attention, and it's very important. If you don't know the halachot, you don't go over them, you're not reminded to do it beforehand, it doesn't come automatically, because a person is used to breathe in the middle, take a break, depend how things are going. Ooh-wah, ooh-wah.
כמו איזה כניסה. איזה כניסה.
Okay, now, since the teruah in the middle has a certain length, and we explained in previous shiur that the length of the tkiyah needs to be according to what we do. The minhag of Rabbeinu Tam is to do 9 tekiyot. 9, not tekiyot. The teruot, 9 trumetin, 9 kochot. 9. If you do more, that's fine. Now pay attention to that, because many times I heard myself in few times in Rosh Hashanah that the Baal Tokea did 8 instead of 9. Now how do you know he did 8? Because at the time you can't count so quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't count so quick. But you hear the tune. You hear ta 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 ta, and then you repeat it. Ta 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 ta. Oops, it's only 8. Missed one. And you don't, and people don't pay attention because it's in a tefillah. Most people don't notice it, and they rely on the Baal Tokea. It's very important if you can do more than 9, but you can't do less than 9. Otherwise, you're not yotzeh. So a person needs to pay attention to that. Secondly, when you do tkiyah, the tkiyah has to be the same length as the teruah or longer. It can be less. So in the teruah, which we explained, it's 9 sounds, 9 kochot, 9 trumetin. The tkiyah has to be the same length or longer. Shvarim has to be the length of at least 3 sounds. 2, 2, 2. The shvarim has to be at least the sound of 3 of those. That's the sound of at least 3. Don't make it too long, because if you make it too long, it's the sound of 9 kochot, 9 sounds, the length of 9 sounds. It's not anymore shvarim, it's already tekiyah. So you try to do it, it comes out too long. That could be that you can fit 9 sounds in it, it becomes already tekiyah. The longest sound, that's not kosher. That you need to pay attention. Now, when you do tashrat is tkiyah, shvarim, teruah, tekiyah. So in the middle you have how many sounds? You have now 18 sounds. Why? Because you have the 9 of the teruah, ta 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 ta, 9 of the teruah, and you have shvarim. Shvarim, each one of the 3 shvarim is at least a sound of 3 kochot, 3 sounds. It's equivalent to 3 sounds. So you have in the middle 18. Since you have in the middle 18, the tkiyah also has to be the length of 18 sounds, much longer. So the tashrat, the tkiyah in the tashrat needs to be the equivalent of 18 sounds. So when you do tashrat, it goes much longer. Longer. And then you do the rest. Nine. And then tkiyah in the end, how long? 18. Somebody's listening. See, if you listen, you know. If you eat, you fill up your stomach. Depends what's better. It depends what's more important. Okay. Now, next. What did we write here? All written in our newsletter. Pay attention. If you're not going to listen to the shiur, at least read the newsletter. Test after the first day of Rosh Hashanah on every detail that it says over here. Accordingly, if a Baal Tokea blew more sounds, listen to the Sfat Emet we wrote over here. What happens? We said that 9 sounds of teruah is the minimum. You can go and make 12, 13 if you want, right? It doesn't have to be 9. could go longer, but at least 9. What happened if you did it longer? Tkiya, the Sfat Emet says, although it's not me'akev, but the Sfat Emet says, correct to do the tkiya also longer. You did it longer, so now you made it, let's say, the 12 sounds, and the shvarim added to that, so now you need to do, instead of 18, equivalent to 18, length of 18 sounds on the tkiya, now it has to be 21 sounds. So it has to be longer. Pay attention to that. That's the correct way of doing. If you didn't do, you still did it 18 sounds, it's still kosher. Some say it needs to be a little bit longer than 18 sounds because in between the shvarim, you take a small break. You know, it's not like the tuah that goes ta-ta-ta-ta-ta shvarim. There's a small break in between. That break in between adds to be added as well to the tkiya. That needs to be a little bit longer. So some say that that's also something one needs to pay attention. Now, when you do shvarim, I saw, again, this is things that I see throughout the years. These are common mistakes that the Baal Tokeh does them too short. If you do the shvarim less than 3 sounds, equivalent, the length of 3 sounds, it's not kosher. It needs to be at least 3 sounds. So many times you hear that they do the shvarim, and then the third one, that's the sound of two trumitin. Again, they do 2 of them good. That's a common mistake. It's too short. Too short. Pay attention that it's not going to be too short. That the sound should be at least 3 sounds, the length of 3 sounds, and not long enough that it would change from being shvarim and become tekiya, Walek. Despite eating, still he listens. Very good. Now, also another thing that Shulchan Aruch Harav mentions, that when you do the shvarim, it needs to be, try to do them all the same length. Not one much longer and one much shorter. So, again, like I showed right now, sometimes they do the shvarim very long, and then the third shever, they do it much shorter. More or less, one needs to be, try to make sure that they're the same length, especially that sometimes it comes out to be 3 sounds and one is 2 sounds. The length of 2 sounds, which we said, that could be problematic. Questions? Yes, we'll repeat everything on the replay. Anything else? Questions? No questions? Okay, Chazak v'Baruch.